Our sutra for this week is Sutra 130. Vyadhi sthana samsaya pramada alasya avirati pranti darsana alabdabuh mikatva amavishtitabvani chitta vikshepa te antarayaha. Disease, dullness, doubt, carelessness, laziness, sensuality, false perception, failure to reach firm ground, and slipping from the ground gained. These distractions of the mind stuff are the obstacles. So, yeah, it makes sense with all of them. Disease can definitely be all-encompassing and deeply distracting. I lived with cancer for 11 years, and being now almost 2 years clear, I will say though that you do settle into it, and it no longer becomes a distraction. It becomes, if you can let it, a very positive piece of who we are and the depth of the strength that we carry. Dullness is interesting because, the idea is that it's almost apathetic, just not very passionate one way or the other. And this can be a distraction because I think it creates heaviness on as well as off the mat, and that heaviness that then becomes somewhat contagious, not only in the yoga room, but outside in the world as well. Doubt is huge. I think we can often come onto our mat with a level of self-doubt or competition or comparison, and I think it's really important to pay attention to the fact that these are the opposite of yoga. That yoga is about letting go of competition and comparison and accepting exactly where you are as you are, that given day, that given breath. It's always different. So doubt, definitely a distraction. Being able to come into that space where you know you and you trust you, and you can go from there. Carelessness, I see this in a couple of different ways as a teacher. One is lack of body consciousness, and so I don't think this is deliberate, but the carelessness is sort of floppy body, throwing the body around in a way that truly isn't safe. Not connected, and not only not connected to spirit, but really not connected to the structure of the body and its stability. I think carelessness can swing the other way as well. I think carelessness can be a practice that is pushing too hard into fancy posture, that is asana focused, instead of all of the 8 limbs, the ashtanga of the practice. And there's carelessness in throwing the body around, even with stability, into places it's not ready to be in, or not staying aligned, not keeping the body safe and stable to support those postures. Laziness. This is really interesting because you would think, well, if you're lazy, why would you come to your mat? It's pretty interesting to see a lazy practice. And for most of us, I think maybe we've had those, where you're having one of those days. The day is heavy, the body feels heavy, you need to move more slowly. But instead of doing that mindfully, there's a droopiness, a effort as we're trying to, push and pull the body. And laziness, this is rajas. This doesn't lead us to sattva, it doesn't get us to a clear space. Laziness is definitely a distraction. Sensuality, right? Bhoga yoga. Sensuality, this falling in love with the feeling, the actual feeling of the posture, and loving the shapes of the body. And again, instead of connecting to the ashtanga, the 8 limbs of what the practice is supposed to be, I think that falls into the same space as being a careless practice. It's a joyful practice, though. I guess that's where it's different, because in sensuality, there truly is a level of joyfulness, just maybe not the level of stability. False perception. This is really important. And I always say to my students, if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you can be. So we have to be honest about where we are and what that truly means, and let go of that false perception, whether, the false perception is one direction or the other, whether the false perception is I'm better than I am, I should be in all these postures that are happening, so I'm going to push, 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 or that false perception of I'm not doing that posture because I can't, I'm never going to be in that, that's impossible. Neither one of those are based in a present reality, and I think when we're present, we can truly be where we need to be in practice and not worry too much about whether it was like it was yesterday or whether it's where we feel we need to be or maybe are supposed to be. There's no such thing, not if it's present. Failure to reach firm ground and slipping from the ground gained. So I think most of us fall into this space. Maybe not failure to reach firm ground. I think when you practice consistently, you feel that firm ground quite often, that chakra one, connected, earth, strong, stable, safe. I'm here, I'm in it. Slipping from ground gained happens quite often. That's, you spend an hour and a half, truly an hour and a half, really moving things and opening things and shifting perspective, and you go outside and you get in your car and someone cuts you off and you flip them off. It's all of the effort we just put into the practice is now gone because we've thrown away our yoga space to being pissed off at the world. So I think, part of hanging on to that firm ground is being aware of it. It's that constant coming and going and coming and going, like, I'm in my yoga space. Oh, I'm acting like such a dick. Oh, I'm in my yoga space. Oh, I just blew it, right? That happens. It's the awareness of knowing when we behave badly and, eventually changing those patterns and hopefully not repeating them. Taking a deep breath, letting things wash off of us instead of clinging, grabbing hold, and reacting to every little thing that may happen to us in our lives. So at the very end of this sutra, it says, remember, yoga practice is like an obstacle race. Many obstructions are purposely put on the way for us to pass through. They're there to make us understand and express our own capacities. We all have strength, but we don't seem to know it. We seem to need to be challenged and tested in order to understand our own capacities. In fact, that is the natural law. So it's really true. We, for whatever reason, who knows, we learn more when we are tested. We learn more about who we are when we're challenged than when we're joyful. So in those challenges, if they're going to come anyways, which they are, because life happens to all of us, in those moments of challenge, can we face them with grace and gratitude? Can we come through them and know our own process and staying strong, staying awake, staying aware, and allow that karma to be exhausted? Or are we still spinning in the same old patterns that we've been in forever? All right, Shanti. Good work. Grab hold of it and play. Shanti.